my baby. I know you. If you don't have no kids, if you was faking a pregnancy or, you just can't have no kids. How you think I feel? I own true enough. I'm only 16 years old, but I have feelings, so that's my first child.
The whereabouts of the child at this time. We have no reason to believe that the child isn't in Jacksonville, but we have no reason to believe that it's not either.
It doesn't matter how we get the baby back, just that we get the baby back.
Imagine going through 9 long months of pregnancy, hours of intense labor pains, only to have your newborn baby girl kidnapped just hours later by a woman pretending to be a nurse. Then fast forward 18 years of stress, heartbreak, and depression. Your child was finally found alive and well. But here's the twist. She still sees the woman who took her at birth as her loving mother and still wants to spend time with her. How in the world would this make you feel? What's up, my beautiful people? I am the mysterious Black Man. Y'all go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on none of these videos when I upload. And without further ado, let's get to the show. In Jacksonville, Florida, a young first-time mom named Shanara Mobley goes into labor to have her very first child. Now, at the time, Shanara was only 15 years old, but although she was young, she had already been through a tough life and lived through more than most people twice her age. At 9 years old, she was molested, and this carried on until she was about 11. Then by 13, she was basically living on her own, so she was spending a lot of her time running the streets with the older crowd, and this led to her getting pregnant at the age of 14. Unfortunately, she suffered a miscarriage. Now at 15, Shanara became pregnant again, this time by 19-year-old Craig Aiken. After everything she had been through in her young life, she saw this pregnancy as a fresh start. With this new baby, she made up her mind that she was going to do things the right way so she could give this child the life she never had. On July 10th, 1998, at the University Medical Center, after hours of dealing with those intense labor pains, Shanara gave birth to a healthy 8-pound baby that she named Kamiyah Mobley. At the time, Shanara didn't have many family members to be there with her, and Craig, who was the baby's biological father, was incarcerated for drug possession, transporting illegal substance, and also because he was 19 while Shanara was 15 at the time they conceived. Now, as soon as the doctor handed Shanara the baby, it was love at first sight as the little baby curled up in her arms, but little did she know, the most unimaginable event was about to unfold. Just a few hours after the birth, while Shanara and Kamiyah were resting, a woman named Gloria Williams walked in their room dressed as a nurse and befriended Shanara. Now, Gloria wasn't even a nurse. In fact, she was just a woman who was struggling with some severe mental issues. She was in an abusive relationship. She had recently lost custody of her 2 sons, and worst of all, just a week or so before, she suffered a miscarriage that she kept a secret from everyone she knew. So that day, she had left her job at the Charleston Nursing Home and drove 4 hours to the Florida University Medical Center. Once she got inside, she just stood there and looked at all the babies in the nursery, contemplating on which baby she could take that wouldn't bring about any suspicion. Shortly afterwards, she found the perfect baby. She walked in Shanara's room wearing a pair of glasses and looking like she was a nurse. For hours, they talked, and she offered Shanara comfort and support and even got her a new hospital gown. But at around 3 p.m., she picked up Kamiyah and told Shanara she needed to take her to get her temperature taken and she would bring her right back. Well, once Gloria left that room, she put Kamiyah in a large tote bag, walked to her car, and drove home to South Carolina. Now, Gloria had already told her family that she had gone into labor at work and given birth to a daughter, so she was able to pass this baby off as her biological daughter. Meanwhile, back in Florida, Shanara was in her hospital room waiting for her baby to be brought back. Several nurses came to check on her, but when she asked them about her child, they seemed confused. She tells them that there was a nurse that came by earlier and took Kamiyah to get some tests ran. She described to them how she looked, but none of the staff was familiar with who this person was and initially believed that the woman who was in her room was a member of her family. In pure disbelief, Shanara began frantically screaming and hollering for her missing baby.
No. She shouldn't have never left out my arms from the beginning. Please, bury my baby. I know you. If you don't have no kids, if you was faking a pregnancy or, You just can't have no kids. I mean, how you think I feel? True enough, I'm only 16 years old, but I have feelings, so that's my first child.
Everyone in the hospital went into a frenzy to try to find out who had this baby. After almost an hour had gone by, they finally called the police, but when they got there, they started accusing Shanara of doing something with her own baby.
The hospital waited over an hour to contact the police, and when they get there, I'm accused.
And he's punching the side of your bed.
I punched the side of my bed till he moved it.
And what did he say?
Tell us what you did with the baby. Tell us where the baby at.
And what was your response?
I'm looking like this man. I'm crying. I'm like this. I'm scared. I'm hysterical. I'm mad. I'm angry. I just got so many emotions at this time. Because I couldn't believe that how you would think. Let me tell you something. I'm a very smart young lady. And I told you at the age of 13, 14, 15, I was not that. I was actually a grown woman. I ain't that. I'm going to use my words. I don't want to cuss. I'm not that smart to pull off something like that. I can't even pull off a bank heist. So how am I going to pull off a kidnapping or something I want?
After this horrible encounter, the police go outside and start searching on and around the campus and finally put out an Amber Alert to the surrounding area to be on the lookout for an African-American woman who was between the ages of 30 and 35 wearing a dark brown wig about shoulder length. After wasting all that time, Kamiyah was far away from there. Since there weren't any pictures of Kamiyah before she was taken, they had to rely on a computer-generated image to share with the media. The only distinctive feature they could describe was a Mongolian spot on her body, which is a flat blue-grayish birthmark and an umbilical hernia. Years had went by and posters with police sketches of baby Kamiyah and 4 different versions of the kidnapper were plastered all over Jacksonville, Florida. The hospital even increased its reward from $50,000 to $250,000 for information leading to the safe return of Kamiyah. But despite having over 2,000 leads, investigators found nothing substantial and the trail went cold. The amount of suffering this young mother went through was very traumatic. She started self-medicating and even tried to off herself one. Each year for her baby's birthday, Shanara would buy a cake for Kamiyah and made 2 certain wishes. Now, while Shanara struggled to put her life back together following this kidnapping, everything in Gloria's life seemed to be falling into place. In Waltersboro, South Carolina, Gloria had left her abusive husband. She was able to regain custody of her 2 sons that were taken, got remarried, and raised Kamiyah as her own daughter. Gloria forged documents to create a new identity for Kamiyah, which changed her name to Alexis Manigo on paper. Growing up in South Carolina, Alexis had a pretty normal and happy life. She went to school, attended church, hung out with her brothers, and invited friends she made at school over to the house. To Alexis, Gloria was the best mother ever. She was very open to all her friends she brought to the door and was even open to having sleepovers. Alexis stated that it was very rare not to see Gloria smiling. For the most part, she was always an upbeat person and worked very hard to provide for herself and her brothers. However, it wasn't until years later when Alexis felt that something was wrong. When Alexis turned 16, she wanted to apply for her first job, but when the company asked her for identification, she couldn't provide a social security card or a birth certificate. So she goes home and confronts Gloria about the situation, and this is when she finally learned the truth. Now, in most situations like this, parents usually try to manipulate their young children by telling them that their other parents were dead or abandoned them, and that was the reason why they took them. But Gloria came straight out and told Alexis everything. Gloria was so ashamed of herself that she offered to turn herself in to the police, but Alexis declined. She knew what Gloria had done was illegal, but she also didn't want to lose the only person she knew as her mother. So she kept the secret to herself, and I read that she advised her mother to go on the run. Now, 2 years had gone by since Alexis had learned that her mother was her actual kidnapper. She had graduated from high school and was still holding on to this secret because she loved Gloria and didn't want to lose her, but their worlds were about to turn upside down. In January of 2017, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received 2 tips about Gloria and Kamiyah, so they passed it on to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Within days, they showed up to Waltersboro, South Carolina to conduct a DNA test to confirm that Alexis Manigo was actually Kamiyah Mobley.
They bring in Gloria Williams to talk.
Well, it's a missing persons case. The missing person's Kamiyah Mobley. You willing to talk to me about this investigation?
And do you have a warrant for my arrest?
Now, at first, Alexis denied the authorities' claims, but When they came back with the DNA proof, she was forced to confront her real identity. On January 13, 2017, the sheriff's office arrested Gloria Williams, charging her with kidnapping and interference with custody. That same day, Shanara Mobley received the greatest news that her firstborn was found alive and safe.
She's like, girl, there's 2 men coming up with badges and suits on. I said, oh, girl, that's the FBI. Seemed like it. I say, so I hurry up and came out the door and shut the door. And I'm like, yes. And then when they came up, they was like, you Shanara? I'm like, yes. And the first thing I did was drop my head in my hands. I said, y'all found my baby? They was like, we need you to come down to the police memorial building. They just so calm. Oh, we need you to come down to the police memorial building tomorrow morning, say about 9:30. If you found somebody's baby, they shouldn't have to wait another day. And then when we get down there, I think the only person that smiled the biggest, and I remember her smile, was what's the state attorney lady? Melissa. Oh my God, like she was so happy. Everybody else was just like, I guess because it wasn't their child, and everybody, even the sheriffs. I remember he was just like, to me, I felt like he was nonchalant with it too. Like he was like, yeah, we found Kamiyah. And he had a little smile, but I respect when y'all done broke a big case like that, supposedly, that you would be, about to fall, jump up out your seat. I didn't get that.
Although Shanara now had 5 more children and received over $1 million from the hospital, she never got over her missing child and was super excited to meet her baby again. But despite getting her back, it wasn't the storybook ending she expected. Shortly after the police tracked Kamiyah down, she traveled to Florida to meet her biological mother, father, and younger siblings for the first time to try to build a relationship. But tension grew between Kamiyah and Shanara because she still wanted to have a relationship with Gloria, the only woman she saw as a mother. Shanara resented the hold that Gloria still had on her child and felt that both Gloria and Kamiyah made a mockery of her life.
So I still lost. It's no winning situation. I don't have a relationship with my child. Right now, speaking as this moment, so I still lost. So what did I gain? Nothing. And honestly, I wish sometimes she would have never came back. That I do wish. Because it takes a toll, because I'm a mother first. And it takes a toll on my other children. My daughter's going to the 10th grade where she has to argue with people to defend her mother. She's on Facebook defending my other babies. They are babies. They shouldn't have to go out in that world and experience that stuff. That shouldn't have to be their life. And this is what Gloria and Kamiyah brought upon my children. And I truly, really feel deep in my heart, I just wish she would have never came back. I really do. Because you came back. This woman made a mockery of my life when she took my baby. And not only did you make a mockery when you brought my baby back, but you let her help you make a mockery of my life.
In February 2018, the trial finally began. Gloria Williams confessed to driving from South Carolina to Florida, posed as a nurse, and abducted Kamiyah from her birth mother's arms, and pleaded guilty to kidnapping and interfering with state custody. Shanara's side and Gloria's side revealed the effects that the kidnapping had on their lives, as the now 19-year-old Kamiyah sat there and listened quietly.
What type of person you was. Just to watch you and your movements. I'm still over there watching you the whole time. And you just as normal as I am. But you got to pay for what you did.
I pray for both sides because both sides have been damaged, both sides hurt, both sides need healing, both sides need to understand forgiveness, and I pray for everyone.
That doesn't touch me.
So Ms. Mobley, how long was this person in the room with you?
For hours, 6, 7, 8 hours. And she prayed on the child. And a baby. Will we be here right now if it was a grown woman? She prayed on the child, and we would not be here if it was a grown woman. She wouldn't have went into a grown woman's room and done that.
And you're saying because you were so young?
Yeah, because I was young, and she came there and prayed on the child. That's what she's doing to my child.
Over the next several months and years, did time heal these wounds? Did you feel better?
It doesn't heal now. I'm still hurting. When you reaching up to my child, that is my child. I am your mother, Kamiyah. I am your mother.
So you're saying that, like, as you sit here today, you feel like the defendant, Ms. Williams, still has a hold.
Yes.
And because of the 18 years she spent raising her.
Yes. My baby now, the jailhouse program in her phone is mommy.
Is that hurtful to you?
Yes. Her family reaches out to my baby. I heard my baby on the phone and telling them I'm to my mama's house, and they will still continue on a conversation with my baby. Her family, like they don't feel no type of nothing.
Now, Gloria was diagnosed with depression, social anxiety disorder, PTSD, and pseudosciasis, I think that's how you say it, which is a disorder where a woman feels like or believes she is pregnant when she really isn't. Her lawyer testified that after being in an abusive relationship, losing her 2 sons to the system, and having a miscarriage just a week before taking Kamiyah was the driving factor that pushed her to this abduction. Gloria expressed her deepest regret for what she had done by stating,
I started crying, and she was like, what's wrong? I said, sit down, I have to tell you something. And we were outside on the front porch. I told her, I said, you're not my daughter. I said, I took you a long time ago. I know I wronged you, and I'm so sorry. And so many days, I just wanted to pick that child up and say, come on, let's get in this car and go. I just couldn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about all of this. I'm not a bad person. I did a wrong thing. I did. If I could do it all over again, no, I wouldn't do it.
Now, although Gloria's testimony was very sincere, Shanara, who had been through so much pain and suffering, didn't have an ounce of sympathy for Gloria and asked for her to receive the death penalty, and if they couldn't do that, she wanted her to have the max sentence. After evaluating everything, the judge found Gloria guilty and sentenced her to 18 years in prison at the Hernando Correctional Institution in Florida. Even though Gloria had been in prison, it still didn't heal Shanara's wounds. After everything was over, Kamiyah continued living in the house she grew up in and would drive back and forth from Florida to South Carolina to spend a little amount of time with her biological parents. Shanara stated in the interview that as long as Kamiyah can go and see Gloria, that's her mother. Now, although Kamiyah and Shanara weren't on the best terms, as her mother, she still wanted to have her baby back and even cleaned out a room for her to stay in just in case she wanted to move in with them. But at this point, Kamiyah was still processing what it means for a woman she has known as her mother to receive an 18-year prison sentence.
Have you forgiven Gloria for kidnapping you?
Yes. I've never really felt no malice.
Can you understand why some people find it hard to grasp, but you still have such a close relationship with Gloria?
The reason why people kind of have a hard time because they haven't been in the situation. That's just how I feel with that. It's like they can't tell me anything to really help me at this point.
Kamiyah understands Gloria has to be held accountable for her actions, but she stated, from that one mistake, I was given the best life. I had everything I ever wanted and needed. I had love especially. She continued to say she understands that what she did was wrong, but don't just lock her up and throw away the key like everything she did was awful. Now, later on that year, a motion was submitted by Gloria requesting that her guilty plea be revoked. She claimed that her conviction was unfair because her counselor was ineffective and did not meet the expectations set by the Florida bar, so her sentence should be shortened. Kamiyah also supported this plea by writing the court a letter stating, I need my mother home, but regardless of their attempt, this plea was denied. Now with a job and social security number, Kamiyah is looking towards the future. Despite all the friction she had with her biological parents, in 2019, she decided to move in with her father, and the two seem to be doing just fine, but Kamiyah is still trying to figure out this difficult situation. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but Kamiyah was featured on the Fix My Life show, and let's just say she's a firecracker.
They don't get it. Stop talking to me. What the is your problem, bitch?
Father wants to know.
Where?
Come here.
No, because I'm not staying here. Y'all know this. Bitch, I'm gone. Daddy, I'm about to get the out of here. I'm not doing this with these people. I'm not doing this. I'll curse this bitch out. Like, I'm about to swing on this. Then you got some big bitch like, bitch, I'll stab the out this bitch. What the and I do this. They gonna tell me I'ma stay here and gonna tell Swerve leave.
No. I said it was your choice.
Swerve, no
I said it was your choice.
Tell this old bitch she'll get slapped. Can you please let her know that? I'm not slapping
done slapped bigger bitches for less than that. Come on, I don't argue with bitches. I
How
slap
come you
bitches.
didn't put this on the board?
Cause he ain't never seen this side. He ain't never had to see this side.
Here we are over 25 years later, and Kamiyah's story still sparks a whirlwind of emotions. Think about if you were Shanara and you had spent nearly 2 decades without your baby, not knowing if she was dead or alive. Then when you finally reconnect with your firstborn, she looks at the woman that actually took her from you as her mother. How in the world would this make you feel? On the flip side, if you were in Kamiyah's shoes, could you just walk away from the woman who cared for you your whole life, even after learning she really wasn't your mother? Or would you just try to keep both families in your life? Let me know what you think down in the comments. All right, family, if you have made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around. Go ahead and show your boy some love and hit that like, subscribe, and share it with whoever you think or whoever comes to mind. I hope you all have had a wonderful day. And until next time, stay mysterious, my friends.